Well, here we are once again, Andy, back for more Timeless.
Yes, we are. Episode 5.
Episode 5, The Alamo. So since it's been a little while since we've done this, anything interesting in your life or anything you want to pass along TV or movie-wise?
TV-wise, or I mentioned last time that we were watching Severance. Just watched the latest episode of that. I guess I don't want to say anything to spoil anything.
No.
But
no, don't tell us that everybody dies.
Okay, I won't tell you the
all right
part. Yeah, nothing else really jumping out noteworthy kind of TV or movie wise. Kids watch a lot of Big City Greens on Disney Plus, just over and over and over. It's like an animated show.
Is it on regular? Is it on regular Disney Plus, or is it like the Disney Junior?
On regular Disney Plus, yeah.
Okay, it's called what again?
Big City Greens. It's about this like farmer family who their house is like in the middle of the big city. I haven't really like watched a lot of it. I kind of just get bits and pieces in the background. It's pretty funny though.
Well, maybe I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Have you seen? It's been a while since we've watched Phineas and Ferb. Have you seen any Phineas and Ferb?
Years ago, I watched a little bit of Phineas and Ferb, not a ton.
Okay, that's another one that they went through. The kids went through a period where they watched just tons of Phineas and Ferb, and so I think that is a really funny show. But I think there's
is it still on?
It's still it's on Disney Plus, and I think there's a new season. I don't know if it's out. It's probably not out yet, but they're working on a new season. It had like a really big gap. Gravity Falls is another one that we've really liked. Animated show. I did see the new. There's this like a Spider-Man animated series. I haven't taken a look at it yet. I think you mentioned that one.
I watched the first few minutes of the first episode, but I haven't gotten back to it, so I can't give you any judgment on it.
Okay. What did the first few minutes seem like?
It seemed okay. Have to give it a little more time, I think.
Okay. Anything? What about you? Anything?
The only thing that we watched in the last little bit was the newest episode of All Creatures Great and Small.
Oh yeah,
it's not the old one from the 70s. It's the current one that's running on Masterpiece Theater. So we're up to date with that. I don't know how many episodes there are in a season, but that's about all we've really watched. And yesterday, just for, I don't know why, started a rewatch of the first Captain America movie. And although you know what's going to happen, the one thing that I found interesting was there's a lot of things in that movie that are laying the groundwork for future movies, future Marvel movies.
You feel like intentionally, or that they
probably
those things? Yeah,
probably. They probably mapped a lot of this out, a lot of foreshadowing of things. So I might have to go through and kind of run through that series again, including the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I never finished.
I don't remember if I started. There's been a lot of Marvel stuff that I've missed.
Well,
but
and at my age, I don't know if I've got enough time left to rewatch all of it.
There's a lot.
Well, shall we go ahead and jump into this episode of Timeless, The Alamo?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Excuse me. This episode opens on March the 5th, 1836. Lieutenant Colonel William Barrett Travis is writing a letter to Sam Houston requesting reinforcements. At Mason Industries, Rufus shows up late for work. He tells Connor Mason it was because of Rittenhouse. Mason tells him they both have to cooperate. Wyatt arrives to learn he's being replaced because he was tasked with killing Flynn and he hasn't accomplished it yet. Flynn takes off again, this time March 2nd, 1836, and the Alamo.
At her mom's house, Lucy is confronted by her mother about her new job at Mason Industries, and Lucy still wants to know who her father is. Outside the Alamo, in the camp of Santa Anna's army, Flynn shows up with a bag of gold bars for General Santa Anna. Lucy, Wyatt, and Rufus arrive, and as they walk to the Alamo, Lucy gives them a history lesson.
In the Alamo, they search for Flynn. Wyatt has a flashback to a mission in Afghanistan. In Colonel Travis's office, Flynn comes in. Travis tries to shoot him with his gun, but his gun doesn't have a bullet. Flynn removed it. Flynn pulls out his own gun and kills Colonel Travis, stopping him from writing that letter to Sam Houston. Lucy says it's the letter that rallies the nation after the Alamo. So Lucy decides to finish the letter herself, but can't remember exactly what it said.
Rufus is trying to find a way to get the women and children out and learns of an underground aqueduct. When fighting starts, Wyatt has another flashback when he saves a young boy, and we learn why he's having the flashbacks. Rufus uses the grenades to blast open an entrance into the aqueduct. The women and children, plus Lucy, Wyatt, and Rufus, escape.
At Mason Industries, Wyatt is told he's relieved of duty, but Lucy and Rufus refuse to continue without him, so Wyatt stays. Back home, Lucy's mother says that her father was a college professor and she had an affair with him, and she gives Lucy his name. Roll credits. And the next episode is the Watergate tape. Mm-hmm. So what stood out to you in this episode, Andy?
So I had some thoughts on this one. Well, okay, first of all, there was, this is sort of random, but what's his name? Colonel Travis. Mm-hmm. When we're introduced to him at the beginning, there was something about his voice, just kind of his mannerisms, that I was like, oh, this guy reminds me of Nathan Fillion a little bit, but I was like, nope, this is not.
Oh,
there was something about him that he had a little bit of a Nathan Fillion-ish kind of vibe to them.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
There was I don't know, this is a weird little detail, but when Rufus comes in late to work, mm-hmm. and he's confronting, what's the boss's name?
Connor Mason.
Yeah. And so he's confronting Connor about, the Rittenhouse hijacked his car.
Right.
But he said he was driving 50 miles an hour when they hijacked his car. Mm-hmm. And so I was just curious what his speedometer said, and so I went back to that scene and I looked at it because I thought he was driving through a neighborhood, and I was like,
right,
50 miles an hour seems a little fast. So I looked at the speedometer, and I guess it wasn't, well, yeah, it was like a kind of a residential area. Anyway, he was driving 50 something, but what I noticed on the speedometer gauge is it was not in miles per hour. It was in kilometers. Everything was in kilometers per hour, which I thought was a little bit, I was like, this is supposed to be taking place in the US, right?
Right.
So, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe they filmed it in Canada and used, because I know a lot of stuff is shot in Canada, and maybe they would have used.
Good point.
But the speedometer on his car was kilometers per hour.
So 50 kilometers an hour would be considerably slower than 50 miles per hour, because we know that 100 kilometers per hour is 60 miles an hour. So if you're going,
So yeah, actually, because his speedometer said if like 55 kilometers per hour, which equates to 35 miles per hour, which makes more sense. Like, because it looked like a residential neighborhood, he would have really been going more like 35. But so he was not doing 50 miles an hour.
That's a good catch. Yeah. What else stood out to you?
Well, and actually, I did his. I will say his instrument panel was kind of glitching out at that moment, and so I was like, well, they would probably explain it away by saying it was just part of the display glitching, but I think because they were filming somewhere else. So through this episode, I was thinking, okay, they're drawing a lot of. They're making a big point of like, who is Lucy's father? Who is Lucy's father? And there's going to be at some point a big reveal of who her father is. So I'm like, who could it possibly be? And so I was thinking that it would turn out that Flynn was her father. Like, would that be an interesting twist?
That would be.
And that's why in the future they have some sort of connection or relationship, and that's why he has her journal or something. So I was, anyway, that was the thought that was.
That is an interesting thought, especially if Flynn is bouncing around in time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I also, what did you think?
Well, I've got a few thoughts here. When Wyatt comes in and he gets fired by Agent Christopher's boss, now, if she's with Homeland Security, does that mean that the government knows about the time machine, considering, her superior is somebody higher up in Homeland Security?
Right.
And if so, why haven't they stepped in before to use the machine for other purposes? And so here's my theory.
That's a good point.
That Rittenhouse is controlling part of the government that knows about the time machine, and their main objective is to kill Garcia Flynn. So they have control of Connor Mason, which gives them control of the time machine. And they know Flynn's after them or something. So the whole point of this is, it's kill Flynn.
Right. That's a good point.
When they leave on the, to follow Flynn, did you notice Mason says he's jealous because he's not going with them? When did he ever go with them before? Or did he go on time? Did he go on time travel missions before all of this business started with Flynn?
Yeah. Wait, did you get? I guess I didn't pick up that he was saying he had been before.
No, he didn't.
Was that what he was implying? To me, I kind of took it as he just was wishing he could go.
He's wishing he could go.
Getting to time travel. Why doesn't he just go? Isn't he the boss?
But why? Why would you? Why would you want to go to an event like the Alamo where everybody dies?
That's a good point.
And when Wyatt gets in the time machine with those hand grenades, now you could say that falls under the category of some foreshadowing, because Lucy really made a point of him bringing hand grenades, right? But I think it's more, I would categorize this, and I know you've heard this phrase, I would say those hand grenades are Chekhov's gun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And for people who don't know,
used at some point.
Right. If you show it, it has to be used. Otherwise, the audience goes away, and afterwards they think about it and they go, well, wait a minute. What happened with the grenades? What didn't they use the grenades? And And when did Flynn remove the bullet from Travis's gun? I mean,
I kind of wonder.
Wouldn't it have been better for Flynn to just walk in and shoot Travis instead of having that conversation first?
Because what was the point of there was no point to the conversation. He was just shooting him anyway.
I'll tell you, the point of it was
for us.
Well, yeah, but every bad guy, before he kills the good guy, has to sit and talk him half to death first.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it was. So he thought, well, I need to talk to him for a little while first. He's got a gun.
I'll shoot him.
Yeah. So let me get the bullet out of his gun. I really need to be able to talk to him before I kill him. Yeah.
And didn't you think it was cool that Jim Bowie gave Wyatt his famous knife?
I did really think that was cool. I had written that down that I liked that Jim Bowie gave him the knife. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something kind of.
I did a little research about the knife, and it's kind of, nobody can verify for sure where the knife is or whatever happened to it.
Oh, really? Oh, so this could explain. Wyatt, yeah.
Mm-hmm. If Wyatt has that, and there was some way to verify that it was the knife, he'd have something worth a lot of money.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, the knife. No one knew what became of it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There were a couple moments with Wyatt that I thought were kind of interesting. Character wise, like there was him really wanting to stay behind. I thought was pretty interesting. Just because that was part of his whole backstory that got revealed in that episode, is that he had been the one to have to go and deliver the message when he was serving, and
he was the only survivor.
So PTSD about that, and so he just wanted to stay behind.
Right.
There was something about his backstory that felt a little, I don't know, written to me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things, I don't know, sometimes things in shows or movies just kind of, you can feel the writers kind of crafting it rather than it feeling just realistic.
Organic.
I kind of had that same sort of, I kind of had that same sort of vibe about his backstory, but I don't know. But that moment was kind of cool with him knowing that was his past, and then having to convince that kid to take the letter and leave the Alamo with it. The kid didn't want to leave, but Wyatt was like the perfect one to get him.
Yeah, he was the right one.
You have to go. This is the right thing to do.
Because in a lot of ways, what that did was it put Wyatt in the place of the kid, because Wyatt went through that. Wyatt was told, no, you have to go. You have to take this information. So now here's Wyatt telling this kid, no, you have to go and take the information. So it kind of is a full circle something. You're right. He was the perfect one to do that. And I think that probably helped Wyatt deal maybe more with what happened with him, because now he was on the other side of the situation.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, just as you were talking, I was thinking that same thing, that probably did help Wyatt, because he suddenly had the moment when he's like, no, you have to go. And it was like, that probably did help him from being on that other side of it, which is kind of cool. I liked the line. I don't know. It just kind of stood out to me when Davy Crockett. That was Davy Crockett, right? He said, sometimes folks need a leader who can wrestle a bear. And he obviously he hadn't wrestled a bear, but he's just like, sometimes that's what people need to think about their leader. They need to think that their leader wrestled a bear.
Right. Exactly.
And I just thought, I don't know. There's something pretty cool about that line.
That was pretty neat.
I did have, I'm just looking at my notes. I was sort of torn at the end of this episode a little bit, based on, there was the end moment with Wyatt, and when he like gets his job back, right? And he's talking to his buddy soldier guy, and he says, I'm going to be here for a while. Right. It's kind of like I'm back and I like it here and I'm staying. But there's something about him saying I'm going to be here for a while that I kind of felt like, oh no, this is going to take forever, this story. You know what I mean? Like I want them to catch Flynn, and I want to see the story finished. I don't want to resolved. I don't want to spend years watching them go to all these moments in history and fix little things, but it just takes forever to actually progress in the overarching story.
Because pretty soon we're going to run out of historical events to visit.
Yeah, it's going to be, exactly. So it's a weird, it's a series that I want it to be I want it to move quicker and sort of wrap up faster just because of the story that they're telling.
Right.
There are some shows where when you feel like, oh man, I want this show to go on forever. I love these characters. I love being with them. But this is one where it's like, no, I just want to see it resolved.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not the right phrase, but you get the feeling it's kind of like the old freak of the week syndrome. But it's not that, because we have an overarching story here. But it's still, yeah. I don't know how else to describe it.
And it reminded me, it got me thinking a little bit about Quantum Leap. I mean, this is a completely different show, but there's a similarity in that Quantum Leap was constantly bouncing around through time and, going to the 60s and the 80s and the, whatever. And fixing things. But with the show like that, there was no real overarching story. And so I kind of didn't mind if it just sort of went forever.
Right.
But yeah, this one's a little different just because I feel like, get Flynn, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well,
so
a couple more notes that I had. I noticed that Flynn, you remember last time he was speaking German, and now he's fluent in Spanish. So apparently Wyatt isn't the only one who speaks several languages. And I wonder if that's going to come up down the line.
That's true.
Finally, a question that goes all the way back to all the way back. We're on episode 5. It's not that far back, but it goes back to episode 1. When Lucy is picked to join Mason Industries, is it because she's such a knowledgeable history professor? I find it to be quite the coincidence that the notebook Flynn has was written by Lucy, and they just happened to pick Lucy to be part of this team.
Maybe she is indispensable. Last time we were saying they could just swap her out so easily. Maybe they can't. Maybe she's more tied into this than we know.
So the Homeland Security must know something more about this connection than we've been told.
Mm-hmm. Good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
But I thought that's kind of crazy. I mean, there's got, like we said, was it last week? They said there's more than one really knowledgeable history professor in the world. They could have found lots of people who could do this. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
those are the thoughts I had. That's kind of where I'm at. As far as
would you rate this one?
Well, parts of it I liked a lot better, and there were things that moved us forward. I think I'm still going to hang in that 7 neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm feeling exactly the same way, like a 7. Where it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the next one about
Watergate.
It's called the Watergate tape. Yeah, so
that should be
kind of interesting, and maybe we'll get some answers there.
Hope so.
All right, I guess that's it. We will just pick her up again next time. That wraps up this episode. Join us again next time here in the TV Lounge.